record on this. Okay,
There you
it's
go.
recording. I wanted to record it. So,
Okay.
so basically, what I wanted to start with was pretty much giving the people, a kind of sort of an idea of like what I do. Pretty much, I've taken on the mission of actually being able to teach brothers and sisters the Nuwabian language, and the purpose of that is because I found that as Nuwapians and me growing up under the master teacher, I understood his plight as far as like his mission. If you look at from beginning to end, especially with him saying the saying, I came to give you what you wanted until you learn to want what I have to give. It's outlined in the holy tablets that what he wanted to actually give us was sound right reason in Nuwapu, and an identity that actually linked us to our sacred history and past in Nubia, right, as Nubian beings. And I broke this down before in a few of my classes as far as like with interpreting words like Nuwabian, Nuwabu, Nuwabik, and how we should interpret the terminologies that's actually been given to us. So I wanted to start there just to kind of sort of give people a feel of, why I'm doing what I'm doing and the actual mission that I've actually embraced. So when first of all, when looking at the words Nuwabu, Nuwabik, and Nuwapu, it all stems from a three-part verb, NWB, right? And NWB has several meanings. It forms the root word nub, which we know the word Nubian comes from as well. But one of the definitions of it is of color inclining to black or brown. It can also mean to sprout or to germinate. And it forms a derivative word called nupu, which means non-ether. So when viewing the term Nuwabian, right, from the definitions of the three-part verb nu or NWB, it can mean those who are of color, inclining to black and brown, those who sprouted and germinated life on the planet. And it also can mean non-ether being, which we actually usually explain it based on the latter. Nuwabic was a language that was given to us to basically allow us to be able to raise our vibration. And it's important because us as a people, we've been in a low vibrational state based on, us being fed misinformation or given fundamental misconceptions of what reality really is, which is outlined inside of the holy tablets. So I've taken on the mission. Well, let me rephrase that. We, because I speak for the community of people who are actually supporting me and behind me, take on the mission of teaching brothers and sisters to vibrate on the tones and the frequencies that's necessary through our language. We also believe that, or through our empirical evidence, we find that by us actually speaking the tones, it allows us to actually link our brain waves and our biorhythms with the planet Earth. And so, the master teacher has pretty much written several scrolls or books on the different dialects, from the Nubic to the at a glance to the what you call it, the Egyptian book, the Tamarei dialect. And so what we've done is we've taken all of the dialects and we've merged them into one to preserve them, because at each stage it was a part of our growth. And so what I've been doing is holding live classes in my Learning Nuwabia class on Facebook, and as well as teaching the protocols of Nuwapu through the Learning the Foundation of Nuwabian Doctrine class, so that I can pretty much give brothers and sisters a thorough, comprehensive, and concise understanding of, the language and the particular information. Now, I don't know if you want me to go at a specific place at this point, but I did want to actually state that.
All
Are you
right,
there,
we're gonna
bro?
be okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be putting your. Hey, we posted the brother Cash App in the links if you want to show him some love. Hey, okay. What I was gonna say. Okay, so you got. I'm gonna put his page in the links. I'm gonna put his page in the links so you can be able to go to his page. Now, could you tell us a little bit about what you got going a little bit more in depth to the language classes you got on your page for the people that's listening?
Okay, so on my Non-Nation Media's YouTube page, what I've done is I've started to actually post PowerPoints, because I find that a visual and an audio combined gives the best comprehensive methodology of actually disseminating the language. And so I've done the alphabet, the Nuwabi Harufat, and I've done the vowels. I've done, just to give people a gist of like the workings of the language. Usually I would post content as far as the protocols of Nuwabu on my non-nation media page. But and shout out to brother Love. That's my elder. That's my mentor. He's been encouraging me to actually post the language more so on the YouTube channel, as opposed to just keeping it within inside of the group. So here's how it works. There are 19 different forms to the Nuwabic language as according to the Teacher's Guide. Now, the Teacher's Guide to the Nuwabian language is the most prominent book that we use, even though we actually use all of the dialects in one. But the Teacher's Guide is the only scroll that has been written that has the most extensive dictionary, and is the only scroll that has been written to basically give us a comprehensive understanding of the structure of the language as far as like the vowels. Now, for people who don't really understand, I'm gonna give you a simple term to describe Nuwabic. Nuwabic is what you call an Arabic-based Creole. And a Creole is a language that starts off as a pidgin, whereas, like, let's say you have two groups of people that speak two different language, and whatever is the predominant language, it combines with the mother tongue of the people. Usually in situations they're being colonized. In our case, that's not the case. We was being reformed by the reformer, the master teacher, Baba Yanun. But for other moments, the languages combined, and whatever is the predominant language usually takes the base of the language, and it's called the base. So like, let's say, for example, if you was to have French people go into, let's say, Africa, and they colonize African people, right? Then the African people and the French people would need a way to be able to communicate. So they would create a lingua franca. But because the French people are the dominant people in the land, what they would do is they would their language would hold more weight than the African people. Nonetheless, the vocabularies would be mixed. Thus, you would call that a French-based Creole. So what I do is I try to simplify the Nuwapic in a way to whereas, because of people's busy schedule, some people don't have long attention spans. I make it to whereas you can learn Nuwapic in 90 days, provided that you have a decent or an extraordinary memory, because there are 19 forms according to the Teacher's Guide to the Nuwapian language that most words, but not all words, pass through, right? So what I've done is I've taken 9 of those forms based on the fact that I do speak fluent Arabic. Growing up as an Ansar in the Ansarullah community, I understood the mechanics of the language. So I knew that, or I found that through my empirical research, that by taking these 9 forms, you will be able to learn the entire language in a short amount of time. And what I do is I do live classes on my Facebook page, and there are various different brothers and sisters who attend. So like the first thing I usually teach, most people would teach the alphabet, but I find that that is not always a great method due to the fact that when you're an adult that have already learned a specific parent language, it becomes hard sometimes or unnecessary at that age to start people at an alphabet. What I do is I teach pronunciation and I teach the letters in a way to whereas they can understand how to be able to pronounce the words, but get them immediately speaking the language. So like, let's say, for example, the first form inside of what I call it 9 grammar, because I created or I put forth 9 forms. So the first form is called the Sahul Mudari. And Sahul means simple. Mudari is how we say present inside of the Nuwapic language. And this is a statement tense, right? So let's take the word hatug. Hatug means need or to need. And so we use the pronouns from the NUWABIK book because it's more simple, and we're more familiarized with the differentiations of the words of Ana and Ani, or Ania, and in the Egyptian we say Anoki or Nok. But we use the actual NUWABIK pronouns: Ana, Inta, Inti, Hua, Hiya, Nahnu, Hum, Inta. Right? So let's say we take the word Hatu and we say Ana Hatug, right? Because I'm gonna try to bring it up on my screen and share my screen and get you to right here. Can you see that? I can't hear you. Can you see what's on the screen?
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Okay, and this is one of the lessons. So I'm going to read this and then I'm going to show you how it works. So Sahul Mudari is the simple present tense. This form is used with the vowels AU. So in Nuwabi, basically, the vowels tells you the time that you're referencing, whether it's past, present, future, past tense, participle, etc. Right? So what happens is you have to place the vowels in a certain way and pronounce the vowels in a certain way so that you can be able to convey the time frame or tense that you're actually meaning. So it says the simple present tense in Nuwabiya is literally just a statement tense. This form is only used to make general statements. This is the most common form because it is the first aspect of a Nuwabic verb. And what I mean by that is, if a person was to say, hey, brother, young elder, how do you say go in Nuwabi? You would use the simple present tense, zahu. It's not until you want to change the time, whether it's zahu, zahu, zahu. It's not
Zahu.
until you want to say it again. I can't hear you, brother. I'm sorry.
Zahu.
Zahu with a B. You look froze.
I say the last part is like zabu, zabu.
No, Zahub, H-U-B, Hub.
Okay, hub. Okay, zahub.
There you go, Zahub.
Oh, there you go.
Right. So the pronunciation of the vowels AU is ah as an opposite and u. But what I've actually tried to convey to people is in the Nuwapic Harufat, the alphabet, you have what's called hard or soft letters, right? If the letter is hard, it's going to make the vowel hard. If the letter is soft, it's going to make the vowel soft, right? Because the letter, the consonant influences the vowel. So I'm gonna read the next paragraph. It must be understood that Nuwapic is an Arabic-based Creole and is based on its verb structure. So what we mean by that is, if you learn the Nuwabic verbs, you've learned the entire language. Simple. You learn the functioning of the verbs, you know the language like the back of your hand. It also says, in other words, once one learns the Nuwabic verbs in their various tenses, they can master the Nuwabic language. Notice in these three-part verbs where the vowels are placed, because it's important that you know where to place the vowels, because that's going to tell the listener or the reader exactly what it is that you mean by what you're saying. And what I do is I teach in situational situations. You know, us as Nubian people, I think that we comprehend better when someone is showing us and putting us in the situation to allow us to reason the situation out. So it says, also note in this lesson, I'm only using three-part verbs or what is called the regular form verbs. There are also what's called two-part verbs and four-part verbs, which are also referred to as irregular verbs. I will explain where they're placed, where to place the AU vowels in irregular verbs in a later presentation. So what I start off people with is the basic three-part verb form, because it's the most comprehensive and most extensive part of the verb part of the language. What it does is it helps you know how to place the vowels. Now, I do it this way because not only will you comprehend how to use it, but you'll know the mechanics of the language when you want to teach it, because we're all student teachers trying to become master teachers. So I could have just, taught it in phrases, but you wouldn't understand the mechanics of the language. And at this point in our history, I think it's very important, or we think it's very important, that Nuwapic is at the forefront. Like, we need to know our language. And I'll explain that real quick before I go to the next slide. What people, I don't think, really grasp is the master teacher's vision. His vision was for a new race. He was literally creating and manifesting a new race. Not a new race as far as a race that's never been here, but a reformed race of people who was made anew. That's why he's used the term new being, right? To describe the characteristics of the being that had Nuwapu and Nuwabik. Now, a lot of people say, hey man, young elder, that's BS. You can't make a race. I beg to differ. I'm gonna show you exactly how a race is created. All you need in order to create a race is to inculcate in them a religion, culture, and language. For example, you take the Aztec Indians, you give them Roman Catholic religion and Spanish. You no longer call them Aztec Indians. You know what we call them nowadays? Mexicans.
Yep.
Because that is exactly what a Mexican is. It's an Aztec Indian who've been indoctrinated with Roman Catholic religion and the language of Spanish. Another example, you take a Haitian and give them Roman Catholic religion and Spanish, you no longer call them a Haitian. You know what we call them? A Dominican. Because that's all a Dominican is, because they both share spaces, two different spaces, or occupy the same land of Hispaniola, which was the old term for it. The new term would be Haiti, right? And then they split it, and one side became Haiti, the other side became Dominican Republic. Another example, you take an African and you inculcate in him European culture and Christianity and English. We no longer call him an African no more. You know what we call him? An African American. Now watch this. You take an African American and give him Nuwabu and then give him Nuwabik, you no longer call him an African American anymore. You know what you call him? A Nuwabi. Right? Right. So if we go to chapter 19, tablet 6 in the Holy Tablets, Potts outlines exactly, or the master teacher outlines exactly what he came to give us. He says, now you have learned to want what I have to give. Remember, he always said, I came giving you what you want until you learn to want what I have to give. But in this particular chapter and tablet, he outlines exactly what he came to give, which was the identity, culture, and language to unite us as a people. Now watch this, young elder. If 15 to 20 of us are in a circle and we're dialoguing about the protocols of Nuwabi, because there's so much religious discourse in it, the first thing a person would ask us is, what religion are y'all? What God do y'all believe in? Y'all believe in Jesus? Are y'all atheists? Now watch this example. If 15 to 20 of us was in a circle and we were speaking in our language, religion wouldn't even come up. You know the first thing they ask us? Where y'all from? What language is that? The language is what solidifies us as an independent race. And we've all been told by the master teacher that the spell travels through the language. So if the spells travel through the language, then that means the definitions of the words that we're giving in the language of English is what's keeping us under the spell, because the way that the words are defined, they've set up the structure so that it constantly can keep reinforcing the spell. What Nuwabik does is it links us to Nuwabu in a way that we are able to grasp and understand concepts in a more holistic way, a more spiritual way, and a more scientific way, because of the way the language has been set up for us to think. Because when you learn a language, there's a psychology about a language. What people don't realize is language is what builds our personality. The way you talk is the way you act. The words you use, you're gonna actually how you say, you're gonna exhibit that in your behavioral pattern. So if we're using Nuwabic and we're on the right frequencies and tones, there's a science called about resonance energy, and resonant energy deals with the constant of certain rhythms, certain sounds that actually have certain effects, right? And Nuwabic is a language that was designed to basically link us as a people brainwave wise and link our biorhythms to the planet and the universe. So I'm gonna go to the next slide. So in this slide, what I did was I gave examples of the 3-part verbs. I didn't do the 2-part and the 4-part verbs because I like to do it step by step until an individual actually grasps the concept of 3-part verbs and the basics of where the A and the U and the simple present tense form go. I keep them here. Another thing that I do is I wait for like the unfamiliar, the guttural sounds the ri, the chi, and ain, right? Because those three sounds are unfamiliar to English. So what I do is I get brothers and sisters to be able to raise their awareness and comfortability inside of the language and get familiar with it so that it starts to actually resonate in their brain. And then what I do is I teach this at a later time because those sounds are kind of complicated for a person who hasn't been speaking any Semitic language prior to English. So this slide in the PowerPoint is basically showing you what the three-part verb looks like without the vowels and how to place the vowels inside of the three-part verb, like the arrangement, to form the basic simple present tense. And again, family, the simple present tense is just a statement form. This is the basic form of the word. So in the first one, we have NTG, right? Now in Nuwabic, in the alphabet, N would be ni, T would be T, and G would be gi. That's how we pronounce it in Nuwabic. So it's ni, ti, gi, right? And if you look to the right of the three-part verb, you'll see that the A is placed between the N and the T, and the U is placed between the T and the G. And that word is pronounced natu, na-tu. You grasp that?
Yeah, so it means to say, not
It means to say or pronounce.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Natu. Okay, so in the next word is the word I gave you initially, the word for go. The three-part verb without the vowels looks just like this. It's Z, H, B, right? And in our language, we pronounce our letters Z, he, B. And you would place the A between the Z and the H, and the U between the H and the B. And that would be pronounced Zahu, Zahu, as I explained earlier. Now, when you're using these forms, this particular form, I must keep reminding people, it's only a statement. It doesn't mean going. It doesn't mean gone. It doesn't mean will go. It only means I go, you go, she go, or you combine it with a vocabulary word pronounced Leah, which means to go. And I was Leah Zahu, and I was, I want Leah Zahu. I want to go. So that could be to say, lianatu, to go, liazahu, to call, lianadui, to buy or to purchase, liashator, to cook, liatabuh, to write, liakatu, and so on and so forth. So the next word would be, it's a double letter, and I put this here so that people know that in Nuwabi, we have double letters. You have a GH, you have a KH, you have an AH, and you have a TH. When you see the double letters, that's considered, even though it's two letters, it's considered to be one letter because it's only one pronunciation, right? So that's SHTR, right? She, T, Ri is how we would say it in Nuwabi, based on the teacher's guide. And when you place the A, you place the A always in between the first two letters. And when you place the U, you place the U between the last two letters. Because the SH is soft, it makes the vowel A soft, right? So I'll explain that real brief. A soft A is pronounced as in apple. A hard A is pronounced as an opposite. So because the SH is a soft letter, it would be pronounced shator, shator. UR is never pronounced as in English, it's pronounced or, as in the English word OR, or. You follow? So the next word would be TBKH. In Nuwabi, we would pronounce it T, B, chi. And when you place the vowels in the proper place, as you see in the word, again, the A is placed between the T and the B, and the U is placed between the the B and the K, and that's pronounced tabuh, tabuh. So my method of pretty much trying to get the brothers and sisters to um, learn the language is by getting them to understand first the mechanics and the pronunciation and the situations. Because what I do is I do it live, and I do live classes, and I put them in situations. Like if you were in this situation, I was riding in the car and you asked me, what am I doing? How would you say that? And if I responded, I would say this because at this moment I'm doing this, or I'm going to do this. You understand?
Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, all right, damn. Okay. Now let's go back because you just gave me this right here seemed like it could be learned real quick.
Very quick.
The A and the U. Okay, I see that you got the A and the U in between, like you said, the first vowel, I mean the first letter or the first part, and then the second part is the U. Could you explain why is this happening? Why is that happening? Go ahead.
Okay. So in NUWABIK, where you place the vowels dictates what tense you're using or what form you're using. This form is called the simple present. And in any language in the world, the simple present is a statement form. So anytime you want to actually make a statement of something, right, you would always use this form. For example, if you was to say, I need, right, which is the seventh example on this page, you would say, Ana hatud, Ana hatud. And that just literally means I need something. I need to go to the store. Ana hatud liyazahu ila hasud. I need to go to the store. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to the store right now. It's just making a statement that, hey, I need to do this act at some point in time. So the whole purpose of using the AU vowels for this particular form is just so that people know, because it's all about the sounds. So when you hear u between any three-part verb, u, you know that that sound represents, oh, that somebody's making a statement to me. So let me listen what they're trying to state. And that's pretty much how the language works. I can give you another example of like present tense. So let me go to another PowerPoint and give you an example of what I mean. Give me a second and I'll find it.
Like on number 8, it says kalima. It's like almost like Arabic. Kalima, the word.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I educate people on this a lot. NUWABIK is an Arabic Creole. A Creole language is a language that has a base language, but it's mixed or blended with other languages. There's a Shortic in it, and this is in the teacher's guide. There's a Shortic in there. There is Aramaic in our language. There is Cuneiform in our language. There is Egyptian in our language, right? It's an Arabic Creole. So basically, it's a language that allows us to be able to communicate based on incorporating words from all of the ancient languages.
Oh, like you got on 6, you got kitab. That's like the to write or book or something that's written down.
Right. So let me go back to that real quick so I can explain that real quick. Let me explain that. So
this is good stuff, though. This is good stuff. This is real good stuff.
Hold on. That was wrong. So let me try to go back to the PowerPoint itself.
Oh yeah, I need to watch all your classes, man, because it seems like I can absorb this real fast.
Yeah, and that's the whole purpose of actually creating the 9 grammar format was because through my actual experience of teaching people, first of all, I grew up in the community, so it's easier when you have communal living, but when brothers and sisters are living in the world and they're preoccupied, we have to learn to teach more faster. So it dawned on me that like, okay, so what do we actually need? I'm really trying to find these PowerPoints, but I have so much stuff in my computer unorganized, so just bear with me. But it's almost like okay, I'm back. Okay, so the 9 grammar, or what we call tas nahwa. Tas is short for tased or taset, and it means 9. Nahwa means grammar. Okay, so let's deal with number 8, which is KLM, right? So in NUWABIK, we would pronounce it ki. The letter K is pronounced ki, L is pronounced li, and M is pronounced me. Ki, li, me, right? Now, all of these words come from the Arabic. That is the base of our language, because remember, the master teacher started us as Ansar Pure Sufi, then Ansar of Allah, Nubi in Islamic Hebrew. But the base of all of those dialects have always been Arabic. It's almost like Nuwabic is our own Arabic, basically.
Yeah, our own dialect, pretty much.
It's our own dialect, spoken by us and only we understand it. Because in the Arab world, very few people, 99% of the people do not read, write, and speak fluent classical Arabic, what we call Arabiya Fusha, right? Every country of Arabs speak their own dialect. And I was explaining this to one of the sisters in the group. Arabic is not like Spanish. You know, if you're around Spanish people, you could be Dominican, you could be Puerto Rican, you could be Colombian, you could be Peruvian or Puerto Rican, but all of them will be able to communicate with each other because they can bring the language back to its core, you know, accent of its slang. And this will allow them to communicate and understand one another. Arabic is not like that. Classical Arabic is being called modern standard Arabic inside of the Arab world now today. They use it in the schools, right? No different than if you was in an American school trying to learn Spanish. You'll learn it to pass the class, but you don't go back to society and really speak. You understand what I'm saying? So modern standard Arabic is only used for news broadcasts or something that they have to broadcast that pretty much the Arab world needs to all know, because the dialects are so diverse and they're more regional. If you from Lebanon and Palestine, even though y'all have different dialects because y'all in the same region, you pretty much can understand each other, no different than a person from New Jersey and New York, right? Like y'all speak different accents. It sounds similar to an outsider, but really we speak different, but you can kind of sort of understand each other when you bring the slang out of it and speak the regular language. Arabic is not like that. Every Arab have their own dialect, and I don't even know why they're not calling it Arabic Creole in all of the lands, because let's just focus on that for a brief second. If you're in an Arab land such as Morocco in Northwest Africa, right, and you've been colonized by French, you have incorporated French words inside of your Arabic dialect. That's why the Moroccan dialect of Arabic is the hardest dialect to understand, because it's engulfed with a lot of French words in it. And so is Algeria, and so is Tunisia, because all of those places were colonized by the French people. Let's just take South Sudan. They speak Juba Arabic, right? Arabic Juba, which is Arabic, Sudanese Arabic mixed with Dinka, right? And that's why their language is diverse, because they have Dinka mixed with it. Let's take Iraq or Iraq, right? They have Arabic mixed with Turkish. A lot of their words came from Turkish because it was colonized by Turkey. There is not a country that speaks Arabic that has not been colonized by another group of people that they have not incorporated that language. And anytime you bring 2 or more languages together, that is called a Creole. It's actually called a pidgin, P-I-D-G-I-N, in the first generation when you're actually getting it off the ground. But when a group of children are raised in the language, it now becomes a Creole. You got Arabic-based Creoles, you have Spanish-based Creoles, you have English-based Creoles, and so on and so forth. But a Creole is a language that in its first generation was a mixture of two or more languages by 2 different language groups. And then a group of children were born and raised speaking it, and that's why you call it a Creole. And it's usually a simplified version. Like this is a simplified version. Because if you go back to the Arabic and you look at the complexity of the Arabic script and the Arabic pronunciation and the Arabic letters, NUWABIK does that, but it does it in a more simplified way. So it teaches you to learn it fast. We don't even have all those letters, right? But we have the influences. So my method of actually teaching, because I understand Arabic fluently and I understand all dialects of NUWABIK except for the Sabians dialect, but any other dialect of NUWABIK, I don't care if it's at a glance, the teacher's guide, the NUWABIK book. And NUWABIK was nothing more than the Arabic that was spoken by us as the Mu'minun inside of the Ansar Allah. But took place as the master teacher brought forth teachers from Sudan, Morocco, and different places to teach us classical Arabic. But us as the children, the Mu'minuns and the Mu'minatis wanted to actually speak in a way to where the teachers did not understand us. So we just, as you know, as children, we evolve languages. And this is just natural in us as children. You know, in youth, even in the streets, we coming up with slang and different cool and faddish ways to say things. It was the same thing in the Ansar Allah community. So with the Arabic that we learned from the Arabic teachers, we created our own dialect. And then when Pops got wind of it, he named it NUWABIK and put out a book. He called various different Mu'minuns and Mu'minatis together to teach him how we actually spoke and the way we used it. And he put a book out called NUWABIK. And from there, then the NUWABIK came into play. And that was the evolution of us actually having our own language. So, but back to number 8, that is definitely an Arabic word, but I'm gonna show you something. In Arabic, they use a I, or a fatha and a kasra in the word to make it right. And it's kalim, or word, kalim, right? We use a and the u vowel. And this is all the whole Arab world is doing. They're taking Arabic words and they're replacing and restructuring the vowels around the same 3-part verbs to be able to create their own brand of the language. I listen to it on YouTube all the time where they have a Palestinian or a person from Yemen and they try to get them to figure out what they're saying. What makes it hard is because whomever you've been colonized by, you've injected those words into the language. So when it comes to that, those are not Arabic words, but because the core of it is Arabic. And when we mean the core, we're actually talking about the actual verbs. And this is why we bring it all the way back to the verbs. The verbs are the most important part inside of NUWABIK, Arabic, and even the language Spanish because of how the structure is. You there?
Yeah. I hear you. Go ahead. Listen.
Okay, so I'm trying to pull up another PowerPoint.
Look, I'm telling you like this, man. This can be learned easy, especially with all the because it's like I got some. I ain't fluent in Arabic, but I got a big vocabulary because of the master teacher always teaching, you know, in Arabic and different things. And this right here, I think I could like some of these words. It'll be like I could probably study this and really get it. Like
When I tell you,
I know like a lot of the
you went out. I'm sorry. What you say?
Well, you gotta lay it out. The way you explaining it, it makes it real easy.
Yeah, and when I tell you it's easy, it's easy. It's easy, brother.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I put together just examples of how to use the prefix pronouns. Now, I do want to say this. We try to preserve all of the dialect because at some point in history, I felt like, or we felt like the master teacher was just adding on. It wasn't that he was saying, don't do this and do this. He was saying, okay, here's the next level for you to focus on. But when it all was said and done, we had a holistic linguistic background that will allow us to speak our language in various different ways. And so what we've done is to preserve all of the dialects, the authentic dialects that we know that the master teacher himself has sanctioned. We basically put it all together from NUWABIK to NUWABIK, right? And so here is just a few phrases that I put a PowerPoint out on my YouTube channel, Non Nation Media, for people to be able to try to practice. So this is the simple present tense and statement form. And I've also put the actual pronouns that we use. Now, we do use the NUWABIK pronouns. We do not use the pronouns from the teacher's guide, although I understand it. But we do not use the pronouns from the teacher's guide. We use the pronouns from the actual NUWABIK dialect. And those pronouns are ana, which means I or I am, inta, which means you to a male, inti, which means you to a female, hua, which means he to he, hiya, which means she, nahnu. There's an aspirant H there, so you pronounce it nahnu, which means we, whom, which means they, and intim, which means you all or y'all, right? So I'm gonna give you a few sentences, and I want you to kind of sort of try to work with me, young elder, because you know, I admire you, man. You helping me and I'm helping you. Because I want people to know that Nuwabi is the simplest, most precious thing, that one of the most precious things and simplest things that the master teacher gave us. And I think that we can implement this and come together as a linguistic family globally. Like, my goal is to get people all over the world to pretty much our people, all 90 beings, to as many as I can within my power, to be able to identify with our language, because that's what's going to stamp us as the race that the master teacher wanted to create. No other part of it, because guess what? Anybody can read our doctrine. Anybody can read the knowledge, memorize the teachings, go spit it, make a spinoff, create their own thing. But to put in the work to memorize our language, right? And that links you to a family, that links you to a language community. Because outside of us, who are you going to use it with? There are no other people that's just learning languages if they don't have some sort of ambition to be connected with the people. I think that language, I believe in my heart that language, through my empirical research, will link us more than anything. And guess what? I'm presently translating the holy tablets into all Nuwabi. And I've also put out the foundation teachings of Nuwabi, and now I'm placing those in the language. I have the foundation called Tanweeb, and I've placed it all in the Nuwabi, so that we can actually teach people to memorize the lessons through question and answer of the foundation, and it starts their vocabulary being built, and we explain it by giving them more Nuwabic words. So you're learning the way of life, or the doctrine, or the protocols, and the language simultaneously. It's not separate anymore. We learn our language and we learn our culture simultaneously. So I'm gonna give you these sentences right here, and I want you to kind of sort of
we got about 14 minutes left on this show. Come back later, but like people gonna start dropping their questions in the chat for you. If you got any questions, like I say, if you want to show the brother some love, we dropped this Cash App in the links. If you got any questions for the brother, and we're gonna probably get a chance to run those sentences, but you can start dropping your chat, and we'll start taking them about like another 5 or 10 minutes. So just go ahead and start dropping. Go ahead, brother. You wanna do some sentences?
Okay, so I have to go back. Let me see.
Let's say you got the questions already ready. Let's see if they got
if they got the questions ready, we can take the questions since we don't have much time.
We'll come back with part 2, and then hey, we're gonna drop the brother link to his page. He already teaching the language and going into more depth than what he's going in on right now. We just want to bring the brother on so we can get you all over to his page so that you can go ahead and start learning the language with y'all. Everybody's gonna be over there learning for here, brother. This brother is getting hired at the All Mind University to teach our language, because it's gonna be part of our raising our awareness. Like he said, it's gonna be part. It's gonna raise our brain capacity. And I'm gonna tell you this. Once we learn our language, we also learn Arabic. If you don't know Arabic, you're gonna learn Arabic too as well once you learn Nuwabi. because Arabic is similar. So once you learn Nuwapu, then when you go and start to study Arabic, you say, oh, I see what's going on. And boom, now you know Nuwapu and Arabic. So it's gonna be like this. To the damn the tea pretty good.
He said the tea pretty good. Yeah, I admire your work, man. And I want to say just before we even leave here that I appreciate you, young elder, man. Like, I admire your work. I respect you. I love you, man. And another shout out to my mentor, Brother Love, because he stays on my case and makes sure I do the right thing and make sure that I'm propagating in the proper way. As well as I also want to give a shout out to all of the students, the brothers and sisters who are participating and supporting me on the Learning Nuwabi Facebook group. They're beautiful. I talk to everybody every day, and we trying to bring it to YouTube. We're trying to bring it to YouTube so brothers and sisters can become more aware. And another thing is, if anybody that you know has the actual NUWABIK script font, that's the only thing that we're missing right now. Brother Love told me to speak to you about that, or maybe somebody in the group. There's a lot of old timers.
I might know a cat that might have it, man. I'm gonna check with the 12th elder, the librarian, man.
Okay.
The 12th elder collect everything that Baba put out. So I'm gonna get with him today night or tomorrow, and we're gonna see do he got a copy of it, man. Now I know I can find I might can hack and find a copy on the Nuwabi and Teachers Guide. I think I got that in the PDF form.
Okay, so I got the Teachers Guide right here. What I did was I went to like Scribe, and I got about 200 books. But in order for me to be able, I don't know how to actually get it on like the YouTube and the PowerPoint without actually having the actual font. Because what I want to start doing is teaching the brothers and sisters the alchemy of the letters, like get into the science of the actual language. So I'm also putting together a book called From NUWABIK to NUWABIK, and it's based on us actually learning the tones. Like I'm gonna be given like the tones of the language as it relates to the scale of sound: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
All right, we got a question.
Okay.
Somebody said that your they can't see your face like Abraham in the Holy Tablets. No, I'll just play it. Like, you know, like how they got the Holy Tablets, like part of it black, like part of the face.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I'm checking this camera. I bought this desktop a while ago, and I'm just really starting to learn how to use it. But the camera like pulls out of it. Like I can't even really see my face clear on it.
Yeah.
And I got, as you see, I got all the lights on in my office. So yeah. I don't know.
Hey, the first question is, how important is the rhythm of and tones of the words influence? What he says. Oh, emphasize. Okay, all right.
How? Read that again.
How important is the rhythm of the tones of the words to emphasize the meanings? Like how important is the tones of the words to emphasize the meanings of the?
That's very important. That's very important, Elder, because what we have to realize is that vibration is what produces a certain level of frequency that allows us to manifest certain energy. So if, let's say, for example, if you pronounce the word incorrectly, you won't reach the height. It's like if you practice spirituality incorrectly, you won't achieve the desired result at the highest level that you want to achieve it at. What the words do is it creates a constant vibration. And constant vibration is what we call the science of resonance. And that vibration allows us to link in with the oversoul and the universe in a certain kind of way that will allow us to manifest different things on a more psychological level, right? And so I would conclude that by learning the language in the proper tonation, not only enhances your brain frequency, but it allows your biorhythms, your biological rhythms, the way your body vibrates, various different tones, to link with the earth in a way that your higher senses, psychometry, clairvoyance, and all of those things actually would come back into play.
So you say, if we come to your page and we study for 90 days, the series of tapes you got out already, you putting out, we can be up on to the game with speaking our language. Full,
Yes, I would say, not just coming to my page, but coming to the classes. I have online classes that I'm giving brothers for free, right? I'm trying to get brothers and sisters to come together and learn it so that we can build teachers of it. The classes is a more personal, direct link to learning the language because I can help you as you go along. Now, once when you get through a certain level of classes, then I believe that you can actually take my page and just run with it and just self-study because everything will, or the foundation to be set, but you need the foundation set. So the Learning Nuwabi class on Facebook is the platform that I'm using to teach it. Also, I have an app called Quizlet, which is where I actually give you tests and it has the flashcards and stuff like that. I've not posted anything yet because I've only been into it 3 weeks and we're a small group actually now. And you know, most of the students, we talk every day and I have classes literally every day, 7 days a week.
Oh yeah, that's fire, man. So y'all heard that? Hey, we're gonna get the brother face. Hey, send me your Facebook link too, so I can put that in the description. So we're gonna have the brother YouTube, his website, his Facebook. We're gonna have all that in the links, and I'm gonna try to get him in the comments. That way, if you want to get on with the brother and start studying the language, we already got that going on. We got this brother right here, Naya Malachi, already dropping the knowledge on the language, man. So you want to get into
it's simple, man. Nuwabi is, when I tell you, if I guarantee anybody, you use my format, provided that you have, now this is the important part, provided that you have a decent memory, because you have to retain it. Provided that you have a decent memory, I can guarantee you that you learn NUWABIK in 90 days. In 9 forms. I only teach 9 different forms. We call it 9 grammar. And I'm about to put a book out on it. 9 forms. You learn this because what I've learned about most of our people, they naturally grew up speaking Ebonics. And I tailor the understanding of the language to that. And once when you grasp the concepts of saying what you already know how to say, it's just like I'm just using different words, but because there's no accent in Nuwabi. There's proper tonation, but there's no accent. The way you naturally talk, that's how you say it. That's just simple as that. And that means I eat. And awus, I want. And azahu, I go. And awuzli is ahubi lehasu. I want to go to the store. Yeah, halenta baruch habit. Yo, you know that girl? You feel me? I know that baruch ha. I don't know her. The way you naturally talk is the way that you just down in Nuwabi. And you put your swag to it, and it's all, you make it your own, and it's all you. It's all you. And I feel that, I really believe in my heart, young elder, that NUWABIK is what's going to put us on, because here's my thing. My thing is the youth. I'm good with the youth and the women. Like, most of the people that I deal with are women that surrounded me, and youth, because a nation or a group of people or a tribe that fails at inculcating the ideology or the protocols and the language into the younger generation, you're just gonna have a bunch of older people. That's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to sound like I'm coming off as condescending, but I'm just saying, like, for the future of us as a people, we needed a way to get it through to the youth. People don't have time to read 100 books no more. Yeah. They're like, what time do you have to really sit down and read the whole Holy Tablet? So you know what I did? I took the knowledge that I had of it, condensed it, and put it in a form that people learn it like this. And they got the whole perspective of it. It's not like they lacking anything. If you go on my YouTube channel and you just check out the foundation of Tanweed, and then you cross-reference that with what you already know, just that alone is powerful. And a language that you can learn in 90 days in 9 forms, fast. We have to learn to teach more faster in this day and age. And I think that we have the method. And with your help and your expertise, I'm pretty sure brothers and sisters can learn quick. Because I wake up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning every day. Like, I don't stop. Like, the elders and the sisters, they be like, bro, step away from the computer. No, I get enough rest when I'm dead. I'm here to do this right now. I put out 10 PowerPoints just today.
Dang.
Before I got on your show. I put out 10 PowerPoints today. When I leave here.
On your Facebook or on your YouTube?
Huh?
On YouTube or Facebook?
YouTube.
Yeah, we're gonna have that in
YouTube. And tomorrow I'm gonna put out another 10. And after that, what I do is I'm real good at just pumping the information out. I can get the information out. You look at my office, ain't nothing but books. Ain't nothing but scrolls over here, bro. Ain't nothing but books. All I do is synthesize the information, make it clear and concise. I run it through my elder to make sure that it's on point. I run it through the sisters that's within the group and the brothers that's studying it. They say it's a go, it's going. It's out there.
Man, I think the ancestors brought, you know, through the fourth elder brought you to us so that we could get in the type of because everybody want to. It's like we they made us into this fast people with the fast food, fast this, fast that.
Convenience. Convenience, man.
Years to learn it. It take you, brother, 90 days don't sound that bad to be fluent in a language, bro.
Yeah, versus if you go into a college campus and you got to study for 2 years, and it's not that it takes you 90 days. I use the 90 day just to be realistic. It takes you about 60 days to get it, but it takes a month because you have to basically get used to using it. Like I have a student from Trinidad named Masaru, and he's been studying the language for a while, but he's been studying it wrong because he didn't understand the form. Just in my class alone, he's been able to bounce back quick, and he's only been there for a week and a half.
Oh, yeah.
I got a sister named Safia. She's only been doing it for 3 weeks. She's my top student. She's almost finished. It's like, but they study too now. I don't want to say that I can write it in your mind. I don't want to give no unrealistic expectations. I can't write it in your mind. But what I do is I make myself available all day, every day to be able to answer their questions. And what I do is on my iPhone, I do voice memos. Like I pumped out while I was over here putting together PowerPoints before your show so that the brothers and sisters to have more language on my page. I was texting them voice memos and doing that in my notebook while I'm still typing in more PowerPoints. Like I pump the information out quick. Yeah. Real quick.
So we're about to get ready to get out of here, man. But hey, we want to send our love and peace and blessings. Our Shug, Divine Love, Hotel.
Shug, man.
To all everybody, right? And we're gonna have the brother back on, and maybe he gonna have something else as far as going in more depth on the language. Okay. But we just want to get you to I'm gonna post all your links in the descriptions and the comments. Because people for the start being over there now, you got to be ready to take in a lot of comments because
I'm ready.
They're gonna be on you now, man.
Man, you can give people my phone number. I'm ready. Like, but I love this young yo.
Hey, you the new language teacher for the children and the family at the All Mind University. All Mind University is in my mind. So now I'm gonna be on you. Like stank on right. Hey, you don't need in the comments on your Facebook and everything. Just send me the links, and so I can get everything and put it in the script. I got your YouTube already. All I need is the link to your Facebook and whatever else platform you may have that you're teaching on, so we can put all of it in the links.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you that. I'm gonna send you that to my phone. From now on, whenever you send me the Zoom, if you don't mind, can you send it to my email because it allowed me to get on here instead of here. Yeah. But I'd like to thank you again, man. Before we leave, man, I love you, man. You're doing great things, man. You're doing great things.
No doubt. All right, we're about to get up out of this thing, man. We want to send divine love throughout the boundless universe to all.
All right, brother.
Hey, before we get out of here, hey, so the correct way to say goodbye or see you later or have a nice day in our language, we want to hear you say it. Is it Wadu or Wadu?
No, actually the word has an ein. Actually, the word has an ein in it. So it's Wadua. But most words that are formed that way, Pops have made it to whereas we can put Wadu in a hyphen and ah for people who can't pronounce the ein. So it's Wadua or Wadua, like that. But Wadua.
I got you. All right, peace.
Hotep.
We out.